Showtime.
It's about that time.
Let's go.
You're right where you need to be. This is GCOM Radio.
Hardest radio station on the planet. Yeah.
Powered by Lyfeblood.com.
We certified.
And hosted by Nova Phoenix.
Give them that flavor.
All right. Come on in. Turn up that radio, man. Turn down, roll up those windows. If you listen to the show right here on your computer, tune everybody out. Thank you for listening. Thank you for bringing yourself into the GCOM radio show atmosphere world. I'm your host, Nova Phoenix of GCOM Radio on iHeartRadio, and I'm bringing to you another week of all that goodness, all the current events that's going on, anything related to Lyfeblood.com, man. That's what we're here to do as far as the show is concerned. I love y'all for tuning in. You don't know how much I really appreciate people that tune into this show every week and listening to this while they're in their car and doing whatever that they're doing. I do appreciate y'all. So come on, let's get this going, man. We got a lot to talk about for this week. You know, we got to get into opening mentions. All right, so a news report has been happening. Oh yeah, by the way, man, if people are listening to this on the I don't stress like the YouTube channel. I just get into, iHeart. People listen to it on Spotify. If you're listening to it on iTunes, podcasts, whatever, I think people are really tuning in there. But if you are listening to it on YouTube, usually what I do if I want to listen to a podcast that's on YouTube, I'll just play it in the car. I have another car that's older, so it doesn't have where I could just plug it in and then play it through the car. So I just play it on my phone and leave it in the cup holder and just listen to this podcast. But if you are listening to the podcast, go ahead, throw me a like, smash the like button, sign up, subscribe. I think I got about 2,500 people on the YouTube channel. So feel free, man, if you like what I'm bringing on the show, smash that like button. All right, so what's going on? All right, so the news report, man, unfortunately, run into a news report of a sister over in Harlem, man, that she got, run up on by some fools. She was going to the liquor store. There were some people that were hanging out, some dudes that was hanging out in front of the liquor store. So she's going in there, just get her a little bottle of something before she goes home from a long day at work. And then I guess one or two people started to follow her into the liquor store. And then one of the dudes asked if, not even asked, he offered to pay for her bottle. And she was like, nah, that's all right. That's cool. I'm going to go about my day or my night. And she didn't think nothing of it. It probably, it happens all the time. Women get talked to. But this time, it did not go the way she thought it was going to go. And I guess for some reason, this dude felt violated by that and started to hurling insults at her and then followed her out the store. And then you won't believe, ran up on her, assaulted this woman along with these other dudes, assaulted this sister. And she actually was bruised up and battered. The way on this news report, the way she was talking, and they bit her forehead or something like that around her eye socket, and you could see the blood in her eye. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Listen, and by now, of course, me following the story, of course, the folks in Harlemites in the neighborhood gathered up right in front of that liquor store to really set a statement that this is not going to go on for sisters. The sisters going to be protected. Yeah, we're going to be talking about all those things that are happening outside the community, but also we're going to take responsibility as a community to protect the sisters in the neighborhood. And I hope them fuckers is caught, man. Let me tell you, man, I wouldn't even touch them. I just give them to those police, right to those police. Hopefully they fall into the hands of some racist cops, and I let them run through that system, man. Put them under the jail. Now, of course, they might get out and all that, but yeah, there's some accountability, some jail time. It's long, because to see how, what is going on through this boy, I don't care if it's grown ass man, this boy's head where he has to hurt a woman because she turned down his offer? Like, I would have to ask that question. Like, what is going on in your head, man? What PCP have you been smoking? And the community came out, man, and there was some video footage that came out being shared on social media, and the community came out to make a statement that this won't be happening, and it's disgusting to see what happened to that young lady, man. Man, I don't know how it goes about, but them dudes need to get caught. Justice needs to prevail in this situation, and unfortunately, you don't want brothers to get thrown up in the system, but this one, deservedly so, they need to be under the jail for the time that they did, man. I'm telling you, because let me tell you, if the other way, if the police don't get them, there's gonna be some street justice. I tell you that. And right now, somebody's ratting them out right now. So I'm definitely gonna be following up on the story and seeing how this thing turned out, man. Because when I heard that story, I'm thinking of my wife. I'm thinking about my daughter, my niece, and that could have been anybody in our family. And for that shit to happen, and they can't walk in their own neighborhood and not have to be assaulted. I mean, women deal with the men talking to them, all that, that's just, what happens. But to be assaulted? Come on, B. Come on, son. That's crazy. The next thing, I hear this thing about Kamala Harris, man, and the Simpsons suit. So Kamala Harris, she wore this purple outfit, and it was a theme that they were wearing purple for the inauguration day. But Kamala was wearing a purple suit with a necklace of pearls. And then someone has shared that, this thing with the Simpsons creator being some sort of clairvoyant, or he knows the future, and he puts all of his, his sights, future sightings, or whatever you want to call it, premonitions, whatever, in the show. So now they got just one joint where, of course, with Kamala Harris, and then I think, what is the little girl name? Anyway, the little girl in the Simpsons family, she was wearing the exact same thing, posing as the president for that episode, and people were like, "Oh my God, Simpsons done again! Oh my God, they could tell the future." Yo, come on, let's take it easy, y'all. Let's take a breather. All right, slow down. Number one, pure coincidence. It happens, and then somebody's gonna say, "Well, they've been calling stuff out for a long time." Okay, the other side of it is, what if? Let's just say this: what if someone saw the episode or is a fan of The Simpsons and as some cruel, funny joke takes these parts out of The Simpsons and then puts them into real life or enacts them in real life, right? It's very possible, man. And you're going to be like, what are you talking about, Nova? Listen. When I see these videos, right? And it's sad to say, when I see these videos of The Daily Show, and this one gentleman that works at The Daily Show, he goes to a lot of these Trump rallies, and you talk to these people, and then you realize why they are so dedicated to this man. Because when you ask very simple questions about the election, about Trump, how they feel, all these things that are happening with Trump, all these scandals, these people can give a clear, coherent response to the questions that are asked. And no disrespect, but these folks are a little doltish, okay? Not saying all Trump supporters, but I'm just saying, some of these people, I'm gonna keep it real, man. Some of these people be straight up blockheads. I'm like, really? Come on. This dude asks you a question and you can't even answer it right. You can't even, because I want to listen. I want to hear, I want to understand what's going on in the minds of some of these Trump supporters. So I can say, okay, let me give everybody the benefit of the doubt. That's what I do. And then when you hear them talk, it's like you just smack your face like, oh my God. Like, no wonder they voted for this dude. And it's also sad because of the fact that these are what the people on the other side of the camera play on. They play on people's emotions. They play on people's intelligence or lack thereof, hoping to get over whatever trick that they're pulling on them, and so they can get to where they need to go, so they accomplish their goal. And it's like, it's really like, I just smack my face like and rub my forehead. I'm like, I can't believe these people are falling for this. And it's embarrassing because it's like, we always talking about the masses and how people can be pulled in and duped, and how sometimes the elite can kind of like, they do these things to distract people and keep the eye off of the real problems. But then when you actually see where this trickery is being directed to, the people, and they film it, and I'm like, no wonder. Oh my God. So I bring that up because a lot of people talking about the Simpsons thing, I'm like, this could be easily explained. There could be someone on the other side, where it's coming from, that knows the Simpsons very well, seen episodes, and they just reenact it, and they put it out there, and then people watch it, and all of a sudden they get duped, and they start going off these wild flights of fancy talking about, oh my God, the creator of The Simpsons, he's some sort of a Nostradamus and is putting it in his cartoon. Nah, man, stop it, folks. Come on, man. Come on. I could watch every season of The Simpsons. I could pull something, and I could just put on clothes or reenact something out there, and then all of a sudden somebody's gonna think, oh my God, it's the Simpsons creator at it again. Come on, man. Come on. Let's let that one go. So this other thing is, like, the Congress people are bringing guns into the Capitol building, and yeah, I'm sure everybody's heard of that by now. And I'm like, wait a second. I mean, again, benefit of the doubt. I'm like, why are these people? Of course, it's mostly the Republicans. Why are they bringing guns into the Capitol building? I'm like, wait a second. Ain't there a law not to bring guns into the Capitol building? Let's back up a taste. Isn't there a law in D.C., like New York, where you cannot carry guns? There is gun laws in D.C. Okay, there are gun laws in the Capitol building for the protection of the Congress people, Republicans and Democrats. You cannot bring a weapon into the Capitol building. And then I hear some of these people, of course, you know who it is. They're walking, they put in metal detectors in there, and you have some of these politicians walking around these metal detectors. And then when they get close to the metal detector, they're trying to hand off the weapon to one of their colleagues. And then they were said in the story, one of the colleagues said, well, I don't have a gun license. Don't pass it to me. So, it makes me think, okay, one or two things. One, are they trying to protect themselves? To understand it, are they trying to protect themselves from any crazy people that could be hanging around the Capitol building? They're just not leaving it up to the Capitol Police to do their jobs because, a lot of these cops, they botched it. So they're like, I'm not waiting for any harm to come my way, so I'm going to bring a weapon. Okay. And number two, are these people bringing weapons into the Capitol building, doing it to intimidate the left, the Democrats? Again, you cannot bring weapons into the Capitol building. You can't bring weapons into the Capitol. And where do they feel that they have the license or the ability to do this without getting checked? And some of these, I hear politicians are kind of like saying, well, I'm not giving up my weapon. So now Nancy Pelosi set out a decree saying, okay, if you continue to bring weapons, and if we find weapons on you into the Capitol building, you're going to be fined $5,000 and $10,000. And I hear some of these politicians are still doing that. Some, I don't know, from the latest article that I read. I'm like, wait a second. Oh my God. All right. Now it has to go beyond, because this is silly now, right? Whoever is in charge, Nancy Pelosi, whoever, now they have to say, if you continue to bring weapons into the Capitol building, we will go one step further and fully remove you from your duties as a representative from your district. And someone else will have to be the acting representative, or your district will go unrepresented. Because you can't, look, New York has this rule. You can't bring no weapons out in the street. That's just New York, all right? You want your weapons, you want to have open carry, go to Kentucky, go to Virginia, go to South Carolina, go to Georgia, go to Florida, any one of the southern states. But in the major cities, at least, in New York in particular, you cannot carry a weapon, open carry, on the streets. Now imagine trying to go to City Hall and walking up in there and you a regular citizen. Nobody is doing that. Nobody. Come on, this is silliness, man. They're either trying to make a political statement or feeling that they a little froggy and they want to take weapons to intimidate other people. It ain't working, and I think, to me, they should just toss these people right out the Capitol building. All right, you want to keep on bringing it? Okay, you don't want to listen to these rules, even though I'm saying I'm going to find you? All right, check this out. Yeah, you can't represent your, whatever the rules are, you can't come up here. Come on, there's some just basic understanding, basic rules when you're a representative or a senator or whoever from the districts when you need to handle government business. So that's going to be interesting how that turns out. I got something else that's interesting, man. I was talking to my kid, and we was talking about a year. I forgot how we got into it. It's funny. I don't know if I spoke about this on the show yet. I'm not so sure. But I was just thinking about the other time I was reading something, and, I was getting into, like, the year. What year are we in? I'm just asking folks out there. What year are we in? Different cultures around the world have different ideas of time that they're living in. What is the actual year that we're living in right now? That's my question. Because let's say we're in the, how do they say it? And whenever I watch these movies, we're in the year of our Lord 2221, right? Well, that's because of Christianity, right? Jesus Christ, all that. How we split time from BC and AD, right? But there are other cultures that have time. They're living in different times. So, Asian culture is like 3,000 or something. It's weird. I think I did talk about this on the other show. But anyway, that's my thought. And it's just something that gets to me. Like, now that we know every inch of this planet, we pretty much have a handle on every culture that's on this planet. You think there could be a general consensus so we can rethink time, or what time that we're in? Because I want to know, because in ancient Egyptian times, that's totally different. Their understanding of the time, that goes back 10,000 years ago. So where do we judge? Because again, not everybody's Christian. So how do we, it's not like we got to go, well, yeah, that's kind of true, Nova. Yeah, other cultures have other different time frames that they live in, but we go by 2021. So, well, F, we're going to be in 2021. No, come on, let's think about this for a second. As human beings on this planet, how do we kind of come to a consensus of what time that we're living in? Because not everybody's Christian. So, and then what about atheists, right? Atheists don't even believe in God. So, did they ever think about, okay, well, I don't believe in God and Jesus Christ and all these things, and the year that we live in is based on that understanding, but that's not my understanding anymore as an atheist. So, I don't know. That's a curious one. I don't know. That's like a little side thought. Something for you guys to think about. All right, the other thing that I read is the FBI and the DOJ. They're debating whether some Capitol rioters should not be charged. Exactly. So it's a funny thing And that kind of like threw me off. And I'm like, what are you talking about? The act of sedition and insurrection was being conducted or being done by every single person that was on the Capitol grounds, that was in the Capitol building, that ran up in the Capitol building, smashed windows, took a dump in some offices, peed, stole computers, stole documents, walked in and took what do you call it? The podiums. There's another word. I can't remember the word for it. Everyone raided the Capitol building and committed seditious acts. No ifs, ands, or buts. So I don't understand. And they're saying that if they do that, that's going to clog up. It's going to clog up the system, having to process all these people. So what? You could separate these folks by the more heinous acts, like the ones with the wrist cuffs and the bombs and the breaking of the windows and pissing and shitting everywhere and taking stuff and all. I get, okay, those are the more serious crimes. But for those that was just like it was some sort of cosplay insurrection or whatever, I don't know, then they should not get severe charges, but 6 months in jail, 3 months in jail, a fine of $10,000, something. You can't just let people just release folks back into the world and be like, all right, that's cool, it wasn't that serious, so we're just gonna let you go. What are you, crazy? This article stated federal officials estimate that about 800 people stormed the Capitol that day, and the behavior varied wildly. Some people were dressed for a military battle, and many of those people were seen in viral photos on social media. There was also vandalism throughout the building, but some people were simply walking through with the white rioters. Wait a second, time out. Yo, a rioter is a rioter is a rioter. I don't care what you say. As I said before, the more heinous ones is the dudes that were going in, like the Oath Keepers and the 3%ers, and they were going in to kidnap people. Those are the most serious offenses. But I don't care if you an old lady holding a Trump flag and was waving at the camera and enjoying the festivities as people are running wildly right and left, destroying shit. You are just as much responsible as those people that did the more serious shit. Just as responsible. What do they say when you're present to a crime? You're aiding and abetting. And you also will get charged because you knew of the crime and while it was happening, right? So how is this any different? Insurrection is insurrection is insurrection. Sedition is sedition is sedition. If I rob a bank and I'm with the dude that's robbing the bank, I am just as much responsible as the dude holding a gun, gun-butting people, killing people, shooting up the damn bulletproof glass. I'm just as much responsible if I'm running up with the guy in the bank. So one lawyer states, quote, "It's not like a bunch of people gathered on their own and decided to do this. It's not like a mob." I don't know. It's people who were asked to come by the president, encouraged to come by the president, and encouraged to do what they did by the president and a number of others. Does not matter. I don't care if it's by the president. I don't care if it was Daffy Duck. I don't care if it was Pepe the Frog. If you're in there, you should get charged no matter what. Because it kind of reminds me of something. Reminds me of Saving Private Ryan. Everybody knows Saving Private Ryan. If you haven't seen it, please go see Saving Private Ryan. So it was set in World War II, right? Fighting the Germans. And then this whole world, the whole movie was them, running up on the beach and, doing what they did, if you understand World War II. But it focused on a small group of men because there was so many people that died. There was one woman, a mother, that had sons that that were in the military at the time, and they all went in there, and most of them died. And they found out that this guy, Private Ryan, they needed to save him because they wanted to give some sort of comfort to the mother that had like 4 sons in the military. So Tom Hanks is the captain of this group of soldiers, Captain Miller. So they go in to try to save this kid, Private Ryan, this young dude in the military. All right. So there was one part where they're taking a bunker on the embankment as they're on this journey to go find Private Ryan. And they capture a bunch of, shooting up with a bunch of soldiers or whatever. So they just had this one guy named Upham. I think it's Popham or Upham or whatever. So he was a photographer that was going along with this, I don't know what you want to call him, platoon. So he's there to document everything, take pictures, da-da-da-da-da. So, of course, they take the bunker, and they find there was one German soldier that they got. So, the German soldier, when they caught the guy, Upham was being nice with him and be like, yo, it's okay, it's cool. And everybody was like, what are you talking about, Upham? Yo, shut up, man. This guy is this dude shot some of my own guys, my comrades, my own brothers in arms. And you want to be nice to this dude? Hell no. So then this guy's digging graves, whatever this German soldier is digging graves. So he's pleading, all the guys coming around, the American soldiers coming around, this guy sees him coming around, and the German soldier that's like, I guess he was just, trying to develop a relationship with Upham, and what choices he have. So the soldier is like pleading, he's singing American songs. I mean, he's in an act of desperation, and in his act of desperation, he says, fuck Hitler, fuck Hitler. So he's trying not to die, right? So everybody's like, yo, whatever. Captain Miller, Tom Hanks, decides to release the German. And all of his subordinates is like, why are you releasing this guy? I don't understand. What's going on? And then, Captain Miller was like, hey, listen, we can't take him with us. He's a POW. He's just, we can't have this guy and move on with our mission. So the guy Captain Miller blindfolds him, tells him to keep walking, tells Upham to translate in German, keep walking until another U.S. platoon picks him up. You don't have to worry about him. So the thing is, he never got picked up, all right, by another American platoon behind them. So, okay, the final battle happens, right, at the end of the movie. So, there's that suspenseful wait, right? And then, they talk about stuff. But, the battle happens, the tanks come, the soldiers come down that narrow corridor of buildings, and then the bullets start flying, and people start dying, explosions start exploding, all that good stuff. So, in that scene, Upham is running around trying to help the other soldiers, keep their guns having ammo, right? So, there's one particular German troop that comes behind the building. Upham sees him, and then what do you see but the German that Upham was trying to be cool with, quote unquote, that was let go. Obviously, he wasn't caught by the American troops behind that platoon. He, of course, got reinserted into the German army. So I guess they found him. Anyway, of course they found him. So anyway, he sees a guy, goes crosses over the building with the other soldiers. And then, of course, he goes up the stairs. Upham sees it all. And then what happens? A battle happens in the apartment. One guy gets shot. The other one soldier that gets left is a Jewish soldier. And there's this big fight happening with a knife. Unfortunately, it ends up that the Jewish soldier gets killed. Upham is totally frozen. He hears the rustling, the noise, and the screaming for help. No one comes. Upham is frozen on the stairs. So the end happens. The German soldiers come down, and he knows it's the German soldier that he was cool with, or trying to see the humanity in this German soldier. The German soldier, being the seasoned fighter that he is, sees Upham, doesn't even think nothing of him. Walks down the stairs, walks right out, and goes about his business. Upham is crushed that he allowed this to happen because he was frozen with fear. And then the scene goes on when Upham is behind an embankment, right? A ridge. And it's towards the very end where the U.S. soldiers are falling back behind the bridge and Upham is trapped. And then he sees a line of German soldiers fall down, start shooting. And he sees, who does he see? The same soldier, German soldier that killed that Jewish American soldier, is right there, firing at the American soldiers that are fleeing away. And that one shot from that gun, from that rifle, from that German soldier hits Captain Miller, and Upham sees it. And he was like, yo, he can't believe it. Can't believe it. And what happens at the end, you think it's over for the American soldiers, and out of nowhere, the American jet fighter planes, or whatever you want to call it, comes down, bombs the German soldiers. The German soldiers are scattering all over the place. And that one crew with that German soldiers in there was stopped by who? Upham. Upham was looking at him, looking at the line, looking at the German soldier that he was trying to seek humanity in. And what did the German soldier say? He was like, Upham. As if trying to reason with Upham. Like, come on, you let me go before. Let me go now. It's all good. Upham wasn't trying to have it. He knew in that moment, because he let that German soldier go, that Jewish fighter died, and Captain Miller, that he related to so much, I think more so than any other soldier, because of the balanced attitude of Captain Miller, and plus because he was the leader, that to see him getting shot reverberated through his soul. And what did Upham do? He shot the German soldier dead, fall flat. And then he proceeded to let the other soldiers go, because they were going to get captured anyway. So why do I bring that up in that whole long story? I brought that up because here we are, we're dealing with seditionists that they're thinking of letting go. And who do you think, regardless of who they are, what will happen to them when they get reinserted into the community? They could be that one individual that strikes the killing blow that you could have stopped, but you decided to think otherwise. Think about that. All right, moving on. Quickly, Dave Chappelle, man, he came down with COVID. He came down with a COVID and he was asymptomatic, man. That's messed up. So I wish Dave Chappelle a speedy recovery. You know what? I don't blame Dave Chappelle for doing what he did to try to keep people busy on his ranch and bringing people in and trying to build or create a lighter moment in the midst of all this COVID-19 and all the suffering and the people dying. He was trying to bring back some sort of normalcy for the professional comedians and the people that wanted to watch them. And he did everything, the testing and the masks and the distancing. And unfortunately, he ended up getting infected. So he tried his best to do what he thought he could do for folks. And he ended up getting COVID himself. So, I wish him a speedy recovery. That is not serious. And he canceled all his shows. So hopefully we'll see how it goes, once he gets better, where he goes from here. So who knows? The next thing, Zach De La Rocha from Rage Against the Machine, he has a short documentary out called The Myth of Whiteness. I think it'll be dope. I read a little article on it. Please check it out. It's on Vivo, and it's also on YouTube. And it just follows a teacher talking to students about the fiction of what it means to be white. I think that's a dope subject matter to have, especially with white folks. Hopefully more white folks see it than black folks and other people of color. So it's important to kind of start to dismantle the mythology of whiteness. So why we are here at this very moment, what I just spoke about earlier with the Capitol building and how everything just ties in. And I think it's an important piece. It's only 15 minutes long, but hopefully that could be just a springboard into people that watch it to get deeper and delve deeper into the idea of what it is to be in what's the word I can use? What do you call it? I can't think of the word. To be immersed in the mythology of whiteness. That's a good one. Immersed in the mythology of whiteness. So check that one out. Zach De La Rocha from Rage Against the Machine. The other thing, D'Angelo, he has a radio channel called on Sonos Radio. And a Sonos, I was like, whoa, Sonos. They actually do wireless speakers for TVs, smart devices, anything that deals with music or podcasting or whatever. They have actually came out with a channel, a radio channel. It's called Sonos Radio, and they open it up to D'Angelo to have. It's called Feverish Phantasmagoria. And D'Angelo basically plays music of hip-hop, funk, soul, all that different types. He actually opened up the first soul with Elia Einhorn to discuss the concept of the show and, his own history. So Sonos is also going to be releasing other new channels from FK Twigs, the Chemical Brothers, Corey Smith, Hanif Abdu Rakib. I'm sorry, that was a hard one to pronounce. So go check that out if you like what it's given. A lot of different things. A lot of different internet radio channels that are being put out, as everybody's already on with Spotify and iHeart and all that. Here's just one more. So Sonos looks like it's pretty good, man. You buy a Sonos device and you could play some radio channels from their radio shows from the radio network. Anyway, let's get into this music a long time. All right, so we're going to get into this first song. It's Pharoahe Monch. Big ups to Pharoahe Monch. He released an album, a project called A Magnificent Day for an Exorcism. And this song that I really dug, that I really liked, that's on that project. I bought that joint, listened to it. I love it. This Oxygen joint, you got to hear this. And then right behind Pharoahe Monch, we're going to play the bonus track on here from Fire Royal. And his song was Nobody. Played him on the show before, man. Would love to get this brother on the show. I'm going to work something out real, just do something different and get this brother, reggae artist, on the show, and if I could get an interview with him. So it's going to be Pharoahe Monch with his song Oxygen off of the new project, A Magnificent Day for an Exorcism. And right after that, we're going to go into Fire Royal with Nobody. All right, we'll be right back.
Platform in the world. GCOM Radio on iHeartRadio.
I need you in my life like oxygen. Holy water, come and wash away my sins. I want you. I need you. I can't breathe. Come rain down on the tree. Hold you in my arms, let me kiss you till your body is sore. I need to get to know you like you never knew a woman before. I need to get to know you like I never knew a woman before. I need you in my life like oxygen. Holy water, come and wash away my sins. I want you. I need you. My oxygen. Operative word opulent, indigenous occupant, angelic in your moccasins with the kinetic acumen to rid me of my toxins. You could dictate a doctrine on a cathartic spit, ritual open heart surgery for the broken hearted. My high vibrational guidance system, home. Nam yo ringe yo om. My backbone, my bat phone, exactly. No phone tap though, just intellectual track meet. Somewhere close to where sexual intercourse and attract meets. I'll hold you in my arms and I'll kiss you till your body is sore. I need to get. I need you in my life like oxygen. Holy water, come and wash away my sins. I want you. He got tired.
tired. And he said, this nation ain't gonna change, ain't gonna change. He got tired. 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 And he was...
Oh man,
Check this out.
we're going in with another one.
It's on.
GCOM Radio.
Yeah, man scrolling on your IG, waiting for the timing. Have you in real life? Wonder how those thighs feel. See it when you're smiling. I know that you like me. Come over tonight, yeah, we can have a good time. And nobody don't gotta know. 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 No, nobody. No, 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 nobody. No, 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 nobody. No, 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 nobody. Yeah, slow baby. One more time, slow baby. Would I be good if you not go, baby? Stuck in my mind like Doremi. Yeah. Let's get together for a smoke. When we link airplane mode for the phone. No selfie sticks, nothing for post. That's nobody don't gotta know. 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 No, nobody. No, 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 nobody. No, 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 nobody. No, 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 nobody. Yeah, make we take our time, and I like to rush. Get our foundation so we not bite the dust. Gang ting hella sweet, something like syrup. I fi just wipe it up, no feel so me just like it. Goosebumps for the skin every time she blush. I think she slightly coming close, then she rise it up. Like we stay on the bed like we not like it up. But no pics, cause nobody don't gotta know. Nobody don't gotta know. No, nobody don't gotta know. Nobody don't gotta know. Nobody don't gotta know. No, nobody. No, 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 nobody. No, 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 nobody. No, 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 nobody. On your IG, waiting for the timing. Have you in real life? Wonder how those thighs feel. See it when you're smiling. I know that you like me. Come over tonight, yeah, we can have a good time. And nobody don't gotta know. 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 No, nobody. No, 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 nobody. No, no, no.
Take control.
This is GCOM Radio, powered by Lyfeblood.com. Come join, be a lifer. Practice dollar power and build financial independence.
Yeah, man, that was Pharoahe Monch with Oxygen off his project A Magnificent Day for an Exorcism. Right behind that was Fire Royale, a bonus track that we threw on the show, that we played on the show before with Nobody, reggae artist, dopeness. Check him out, and of course check out Pharoahe Monch on wherever you buy your music, and support these two brothers, man, Pharoahe Monch and his brother Fire Royale. All right, so let's get into the second segment of the show, but of course before we continue, let's get into what we do if you listen to the show, business of the week. Okay, let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, for that
Bringing you the business of the week and its innovative founders. It's what you've been waiting for.
Hey, you over there, you woke yet? Do you know what time it is? I hope you do, because right now is the time to know the time. What better way to tell the time but with the right watch? Know the ledge and look good building on the corner with your brothers, right? Look good doing it. Take a look and fix your wrist to a Clarity watch created by Malcolm Lemons, ex-pro basketball player. The mission is to serve a beautiful timepiece, simultaneously supporting social injustices that happened around the country. Clarity has partnered with Color of Change to donate a portion of every watch purchase so they can improve civil rights for people from coast to coast. Lyfeblood.com would like to salute Clarity Watches for providing the beautiful minimalist wristwatches while opening a stream of steady funding towards worthwhile causes that affect the underserved and the disenfranchised. A true step blending capitalism and social justice for an improved quality of life for Black and brown communities in the United States. All right, let's get into this, man. I'm gonna run through quick with this, and I'm gonna put myself on timer so I can stay on time. We're gonna get into the second part of the movie section. All right, that I did part one on, and it's just some of the movies that I saw on vacation, and I recently saw that maybe you guys would like to check it out after I talk about it. So just letting you know, there will be spoilers if you haven't seen it. I guess you could fast forward this probably another 25 minutes, 30 minutes, and then we'll go on to something else. All right, so let's get to it, man. What is the first show that I saw? Wonder Woman. A lot of people giving issues with Wonder Woman. Warner Brothers. It was directed by Patty Jenkins, of course, released by Warner Brothers in DC. I liked the creative direction of where Miss Jenkins was going with Wonder Woman. It was a nostalgic throwback from the 1980s. What was from Linda Carter? She was the first Wonder Woman, and I really was feeling what she was given. I genuinely, overall, I liked Wonder Woman. I didn't have a problem with it, although people were trashing this movie. They were trashing this movie for a number of different reasons. And after you review it and you go over it, and I saw a couple of parts afterwards, replayed it, and listened to some things, and there's certain things that I understood where there could have been missteps in the Wonder Woman. First off was the action at the beginning. It was a little hokey. When I first saw it, I was like, why does it look like she's floating even though she's trying to swing from the magic lasso? I don't understand. She was jumping from one level to the other in the mall, trying to, round up these bad guys, and it just looked really like, I don't know, it just looked hokey, and they could have done a better job to make it look as realistic as possible. But then I understood later why Patty Jenkins was doing that. Patty was doing that because, again, she was trying to give a nostalgic feel of what it was for Wonder Woman, played by Linda Carter in the 80s, and replicating those same methods that were used to make it look, at the time in the 80s, that was like the latest of technology, for movie technology, whether it's on television or otherwise. But of course, we look back on it now and it's like, oh my God, that's so cheesy looking. I think she was just trying to, again, give that nostalgic feel of Wonder Woman of that time. The wish thing, the power thing that this guy Lord had, Max Lord, I think it was a little too ethereal. There wasn't really a solid enemy or power for Wonder Woman to fight and stop. It was like, how do you handle that? How do you put your hands around it? The wish thing, I thought it was too comic-y at the point. I'm like, because the other superhero movies was based off of a villain that had super strength or specific power, that was harming people, destroying cities, and giving it good to the main superhero. This one was like a wish thing, and it was like, how do you get at this? And so I was interested as the movie was opening up into the second act and later down into the third act. I was like, I don't know. Excuse me. I don't know if the wish thing, it was just too big. It was, you couldn't hold on to it. It wasn't like concrete enough. I don't know. The next thing, the use of Kristen Wiig. The use of Kristen Wiig when she played the character of Cheetah, I think that was okay, but it was cliche because they played that same cliche role as the nerdy, no one likes you because you're ugly thing, and she was kind of goofy, and then later, of course, she makes the wish to become Cheetah, but she advances in stages, and she gets her confidence as a woman, looks sexy, fixes herself up. Now everybody's paying attention to her. That's been done a lot of times, a few times in superhero movies and non-superhero movies. So when I did that, I was like, I know how this is going to turn out. they did the same thing with Electro, you know, with Jamie Foxx. That's the most recent one I can say I can refer back to. That was Jamie Foxx's whole character in Spider-Man. So I don't know. Yeah, I didn't like that. I thought that was just lazy. They could have done something different with that. The special effects with Cheetah, that's another one at the end. Of course, Wonder Woman comes in, and this is like the third act, and she meets up with Cheetah finally to have the big fight scene. And the fight scene was at night. And the minute I saw them doing this fight scene at night, I was like, oh man, they're doing that because they're cheating on the special effects. I knew it. I was like, they're doing it because they didn't put a lot of energy and a lot of, hard work into the special effects. So usually a cheat is to do it at night so it can mask over some of the parts that they didn't really put their hard work and time into. So I didn't like that. Even though it was passable, I was like, I don't know why they're doing this. Okay. The people wanted more action, but I thought it was fine. I thought the story was kind of flowing where you don't even notice where it was like back to back action. I thought the action scenes that was in there was enough, but people wanted more. The end with Maxwell Lord, where Wonder Woman she doesn't end up having this big battle scene with Max Lord, of course, because he's the wish guy. He's the genie. So the end kind of crescendos to this one-on-one talk that Wonder Woman is having with the crowd on what you're not supposed to have and, seek a better, how should I say, moral center to your character. And, so we don't have to go there because the earth will fall apart if people do these things, yada, yada, yada. So I thought it was cool. It was nice. But then again, I know what people want. I know what the viewers want. People don't talk to me at the end. I want fight scenes. I want explosions. I want blood. I want people hurt and broken arms. And I want the big, I knew that's what people were expecting. So I thought that was cool the way it ended. It was fine. For me, I was like, okay, it's different. But I know people wanted something else. But then again, that's why the cheetah scene was at the end. Because it was like, well, she's going to talk with Max Lord. We need something to give a little bit more action-y in there. So that's why they threw in the cheetah at the end. So the other, I think, was one of the top problems that kind of, I think, Patty Jenkins overlooked was the one with Steve returning. Now, Steve returns, right, because Wonder Woman makes his wish. But then he doesn't return just out of nothing, right? He takes on the body of this man. And the man don't know. I don't know why she agreed with this. So the man is the strange dude to Wonder Woman. And this wish puts Steve in control of this guy's body. And Wonder Woman doesn't, at first, when they did their first introduction, she sees a stranger. But then after a couple of more glances, especially from the audience perspective, the guy turns into Steve, and she's like, "Oh my God, Steve, where you been?" Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right. So already I was like, "Yo, so Steve is the guy. Steve's using this guy's body, okay?" And then they had the sex scene. I'm like, little rapey, a little rapey. So I don't know about that one, because if it was reversed and it was a woman inhabiting another woman's body, then definitely the crowd and the audience would have been like, "Oh my God, how could they do that? That's just so cringy and it's so rapey." So it was kind of the same thing. So I don't know how, I ain't like that. I like the part with the end part when she's parting ways with Steve and Steve is behind the corner and she runs away. She doesn't look back. I thought that was kind of cool. It added some, a dramatic scene or the ending to their relationship, temporary relationship. So I thought that was pretty cool. The other one was the last thing about that film, and I think a reason why a lot of people dumped on that film, because there were a lot of kind of Trump references in the Wonder Woman movie, and that was Max Lord. Max Lord was pretty much a spin on Trump with the blonde hair, and then he was a TV personality like Trump, and he wanted more power like Trump, and he eventually seeks to get power from all the world like Trump, and then there's massive destruction and chaos in, of course, this particular part, which was the whole city like Trump. So I think a lot of people started picking up on that, especially Trump loyalists. So they're like, "Oh my God, that's kind of like Trump. This movie shit." So so I knew it was gonna be that. I'm like, all right, people are dumping on this movie because it's Trump, and so people's gonna shit on it because she's insulting their God King, right? So, but there were missteps in the film. There definitely. But if you're going to give a loose attachment to Trump through Max Lord, you got to make sure this movie is flawless. So all you have left for the haters is like little bullshit, and then people gonna be like, man, whatever with you. But there were definitely some missteps in this movie, but for me overall, I liked it. Should it be a part of the collection, DC collection? Yes. I have my DC collection, good or bad. Like, I hated Suicide Squad. Certain things I did like about it, but it's in the collection. So will I have Wonder Woman in the collection? Yeah, I will have it. But I think it was an experiment on Patty Jenkins' part in a lot of ways, and that wasn't like in the first Wonder Woman. The studio was very much involved, and because that movie did so well, they let her take the reins of this Wonder Woman, and so it didn't go as good. But it's not like I said, she's not Rian Johnson in Star Trek. I think she deliberately just tried to do something but right with this movie here. I think from all the bad reviews and everything that people were talking about with Wonder Woman, I think she's gonna go back to Wonder Woman, Themyscira warrior like in the first one, and bring back the shield and the sword, and then she's gonna flip it back. So yeah, so I give Patty Jenkins another one. I'm all with it. All right, let's see here what we got. Next one, Crack. So there was a documentary out. It was called Crack. What was it called? Crack, Cocaine, Corruption, and Conspiracy. It was a documentary about the spread of cocaine and the eventual development of crack that spread throughout Black and brown communities, which led to the explosion of the prison industrial complex and so many people losing, the deterioration of families in Black and brown communities across America. And I think overall the doc was pretty cool, covering the spread of crack in the 80s. I think the storyteller did go into the racism part, the sinister connection between the Contras, the Sandinistas, and the American city connections with crack. And I thought it was pretty cool, but I didn't think that it showed the key players that would connect the dots to the spread of crack in America. It showed the bias between the drug charges with cocaine and crack charges. We all know that. And it was cool. Overall, it was all right. But the thing is, it didn't show Oliver North. He was a military officer that was used as a scapegoat during the scandal with the Sandinistas. They didn't show the community meeting with the CIA director, John Deutsch, at the time. And there was one explosive part that was for this meeting, because the Black and brown community started to notice that when there was actually a response to the spread of crack and how the drug dealers were taking these communities hostage, finally the president and the representatives in their areas, they decided to go hard on drugs, say no to drugs, of course, with Nancy Reagan and all that, but they were coming down hard, and this is how the prison industrial complex was created. But one particular part where the communities were so upset, and they started to notice that majority of the people, damn near all of them, were Black. And the community started to get hip to the game, like, hey, we wanted you to deal with drugs, but wait a second, you just picking up Black people. We got to talk about that. So there was this community meeting, and I'm running through it, of course, with the CIA director, because it was so hot at the time that John Deutsch, the CIA director, came to do this community meeting in LA, and that LA was kind of the epicenter of the crack epidemic. And there was one part where there was an ex-LA police officer among the people that were asking questions to the CIA director, Michael Rupert, and he actually blew it up, talking about that there were a number of different times when he was an LA police officer that he was, they wanted to get him involved with some programs when it came to releasing drugs out into the streets of LA and other parts. And he detailed the programs as Amadeus, Pegasus, and Watchtower, all starting in the late 1970s. And he was exposing the CIA's involvement at the time. Now, of course, in the late 70s, that's before crack started to spread. So it's interesting how that the documentary didn't get into that. Those two key players, Oliver North and the LA police officer, Michael Rupert. So all in all, I think the documentary was cool. A lot of the things I already knew already in the doc. That's why I kind of wasn't too like, oh my God, this is a great documentary, because I knew a lot of this information. If you're young and you don't know about what happened in the 80s, then this is a good introductory documentary into what happened in the 80s when it comes to crack. And you can use this as a jump off point to try to get more information of what it was for the CIA to get involved, and the trifecta of the drugs and guns that was going on around the world. So, yeah. And the other thing I forgot to say was Gary Webb, too. That was another part. Oliver North, ex-LA police officer Michael Rupert, and I forgot Gary Webb. Gary Webb was a journalist who also exposed the CIA involvement at the time. He ended up dead. He got 2 shots to the brain 10 years after the release of his expose on the matter, and they consider that suicide, the coroner. And now, of course, everybody's thinking that's superiorly suspicious, that you can kill yourself by putting 2 shots in your brain. But, that's another one. Gary Webb as well. And again, I wish he put it in a timeline, because I don't think the people themselves started to realize that only black people was getting locked up. I think that by Gary Webb's breaking of the story kind of ignited that suspicion that was happening in the black communities, and it was getting so hot and heated that, that's when that community thing happened. So yeah, nothing new with the crack. I wish they could have did a little bit deeper. I already knew a lot of this information. It would have been a dope documentary if they gave more information that we didn't know, like a few kernels, and it would have been like, wow, I didn't know this part of the whole story. So it was all right. Lastly was WandaVision on Disney Plus. What can I say? I love the direction of where Disney Plus is going with all this Marvel property. I thought WandaVision is dope. I love the fact that the show has a lot of different themes from the 50s, 60s, and 70s TV shows of the past, and they're kind of incorporating that into the WandaVision series. And with the magic and the jokes and the character, the magic back in the day where that it's this floating dish is being hung by a string. Yeah, that was just nostalgia, right? So I thought that was pretty cool with the jokes and all the characters at the time, and kind of like trying to recreate that energy. I thought it's a little slow at the beginning, the first 2 episodes, because again, even though they're doing this 50s and 60s remakes of these shows of the time, I think they could have added a little bit something extra, have some battles, have a little bit more suspense wrapped in the story. And I know they want to kind of give it a mystery, but I think too much was focused on trying to just recreate those TV shows of the past. And I'm hoping that it could speed up and we can show a little bit more. I'm looking forward to seeing more Easter eggs and how these tie in as far as the Disney Plus series that's going on right now, ties into the movies when they do get the chance to come out. So I'm interested to see how that happens. I don't like the tie of Marvel Mutants and X-Men. And Marvel has, there's the X-Men, and then you have Captain America's crew with the Avengers. I know they kind of like did X-Men versus Avengers in the comics, but I don't see how these two worlds come together. Can I see it on the big screen? Would it be interesting to see? I don't know. It's going to be hard to swallow, man, on the big screen. One of the things that I did like that was a cartoon was, what was one of my favorite ones? It was Wolverine versus Hulk. I thought that was dope. I was like, oh, snap. Wolverine's straight jack, and like, he's driving those 12-inch blades into Hulk, and Hulk is not dead. Of course, he has the healing factor, but man, I was like, damn, how's Hulk living? Well, he's got the healing factor. Anyway, so we'll see, man. We'll see. One thing I was thinking about watching WandaVision was, they did go in the nostalgic direction by recreating the 50s, 60s, and 70s shows. But Wonder Woman did the same thing. Patty Jenkins did the same thing. She was doing this, trying to replay or recreate the 80s TV shows with Linda Carter, with the special effects and everything. But nobody is really talking about WandaVision like that, but they were dumping on Wonder Woman. So I think it had a lot to do with Trump, again, when they saw, Max Lord, and it was like, oh man, this is just a loose run through of Trump and all that, and they just started dumping on the movie. So it's just funny how, these two TV shows, one was a movie and one was a TV show, and they did the same thing, and it was Wonder Woman's getting dumped on, but WandaVision's kind of like this revolutionary thing that was cute and fantastic, and wow, they doing all these other, so yeah. Anyway, all right, so we're gonna get out of here. We're gonna get into the next two songs. We have Donald J, man, with Ifrit. It's a different name song. I'm wondering why he called it Ifrit. On his project Stay Close, and right after Donald J is Ray with Off the Scale on her EP that she just dropped called Self Motivation 101. So Donald J with Ifrit on his project Stay Close, and we're going to listen up to Ray afterwards with her song Off the Scale. All right, we'll be back.
Won't be televised, but all our lives it has been prophesized. The end is near and they still telling lies. Long as it don't affect my prophesize. Crackers out here, man, they want my time, energy and all my fucking pride. Not to mention my fucking life. Irony, cause if they had it, they'd be suicide. Listen, let me speak the difference between you and I. Macarena with your hands out when I'd rather slide. No Tuesday, more electric, watch me shock the tides. I raise the waves and claim my prize, then watch you burn inside. In fact, those very flames spark the ones in my eyes. In other words, I see fire, but won't cease fire till you die. Stop, drop, and roll on the floor, leave you fried. You see, niggas only fuck with me when you peep the rise. You see, I peep the vibes, in time I realize ain't shit personal, niggas barely themselves, in case you couldn't tell. Back to that spark, I raise it until it is hell. Cook your favorite rapper alive while I serve him as well. Rare but never raw, though his corpse got the smell. Was never good at weighing my patience too well. Quick with the dose they craving as I run up the bill. Still supporters snap their fingers cause they deep for well. Proof the poetry's felt, proof this ain't all in vain. Proof I ain't talking to myself and soon they'll know the name. Proof I ain't out here by myself as I still strive for change. Just thoughts in my brain, that's all that I'm saying, all of them.
My God. I want to hear more. GCOM Radio.
It's official, baby.
Sometimes I get happy when the sun rises. I'm not complacent, I'm prepared for the rain. But I won't let it kill my sunshine. I wake up feeling so alive, yeah. Cause I get to do it my way. I had to put my doubts aside, yeah. And tell my folks to hit the highway. I got them jumping off the scale. I got the dough. I got what they looking for. I make all this shit they quote. I go hard for I go broke. See, I invite the pressure, perfect timing. I Improve the pressure, make a diamond. Hold it for my team, I'm like a lineman. Put them on my back and do the highs, man. Sometimes I get happy when the sun rises. Not complacent, I'm prepared for the rain. But I won't let it kill my sunshine. I wake up feeling so alive. And I get to do it my way. I had to put my doubts aside. Tell my clothes to hit the highway. I got them jumping off the scale. I got that dope. I go hard for I go broke. I'ma take a chance, I'ma beg a bear. P gon' help me move that work. I know you wonder why I go as hard as I do. Shots fired, but I'm still standing. I think I'm bulletproof. All joking aside, I can see through your disguise. I can see you hate cause I'm a different kind. Down here in Atlanta, putting things in motion. I won't ride your wave, I'm in a different ocean. Sometimes I get happy when the sun rises. I'm not complacent, I'm prepared for the rain. I won't let it kill my sunshine. No, no. I wake up feeling so alive. And I get to do it my way, yeah. I had to put my doubts aside. My goals to hit the highway, yeah. Got 'em jumping off the scales. Got 'em jumping off the scale. Sometimes I get happy when the sun rises. Not complacent, I'm prepared for the rain. I won't let it kill my sunshine. I wake up feeling so alive. And I get to do it my way. I had to put my doubts aside. Tell my clothes to hit the highway. I'm jumping off the scale. Yeah. I got them jumping off. Yeah. I got them jumping off the scales. Yeah. Yeah. I got them jumping off the scales.
All right, that was Dono J with his song Ifrit off his project Stay Close. And right behind Dono was Ray with her song Off the Scale off her own EP project, Self Motivation 101. Go to their pages, check out their music, go to iTunes, buy their music, go and support these two artists. All right, so yeah, man. Am I going on time, y'all? Am I going on time? All right, let's see. We can continue it and we can make this run. The next one is we're gonna make it short, but it's just a thought that I had of what's going on and some things that I see in relation to Lyfeblood, and I'm like, I had to talk about it, and I will talk about it. But first, we're gonna go into news you need to know. Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, around the world and right in your neighborhood, it's the news you need to know.
German scientists make paralyzed mice walk. German scientists has figured out a method of making paralyzed mice walk again by reconnecting a neural link that was considered irreparable in mammals by using a designer protein. Team's head Dietmar Fischer says, quote, "The special thing about our study is that the protein is not only used to stimulate those nerve cells that produce it themselves, but that it is also carried further through the brain." He continues, "In this way, with a relatively small intervention, we stimulate a very large number of nerves to regenerate, and that is ultimately the reason why the mice can walk again." By injecting the carriers of genetic information into the brain, proteins are produced called hyperinterleukin 6. After the treatment, the mice start to regain mobility within 2 or 3 weeks. Scientists are looking to use it on larger animals like pigs, dogs, and primates. Ultimately, the improved treatment would be moved to human trials. Master P is in the supercar business. Master P has decided to expand his desires into entrepreneurial field by dipping his toe in the supercar business. The mogul recently announced his own line of supercars with the help of a former Tesla engineer. Tryon Supercars is the name. created by Miller and Richard Patterson, a former engineer who designed Tesla's Model S, along with helping designing the Boeing 777 and Dodge minivan. This will be the first black-owned supercar of its kind. Miller says, quote, Richard Patterson is a genius. He has created the blueprint for the next era of supercars. It's time for us to change the narrative for our culture by offering economic empowerment with his partnership. The Nemesis RR is about the superb performance, head-turning appearance, and technical innovation that creates the blueprint for the next era of supercars, unquote. Mr. Miller and Triumph Supercars also plan to manufacture luxury SUVs and cars for the masses in the near future. And that is the news you need to know. All right, so we're back. Let's get to it. So this is the thing that I saw. All right. When it comes to Lyfeblood and what we're about, everybody knows what Lyfeblood is about. I got my hat on right now, rocking my Lyfeblood joint while I'm talking to you guys. And something that I saw that was all for IG. So I saw a post from a Morgan DeBound. Hopefully I'm pronouncing her name right. So Morgan is the owner of Blavity.com. She posted on her IG account that Clubhouse is being evaluated, $1 billion. $1 billion. And when did they come out? Like 2020, I think May, I saw an article on them, I think. But since it's a very short period of time since they actually got out there to the people. So with this app, you're talking to people on this app. It's all audios, no visuals, right? So you enter these rooms and then you chat for whatever you want to chat about. And then, but you have to be invited. You can't, it's just not like you just log on. So you have to be invited. And then you come in and then you could create, I guess you create your own rooms and you could talk about whatever you want to talk about. So I first saw it, I noticed it when Kevin Hart came out with his comedy special on Netflix, and some people had some issues with it. And I think Kevin Hart was like, yeah, come join me on Clubhouse and we'll talk about it, boom, 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 boom. And I was like, Clubhouse, the fuck? And then, of course, I'm not paying attention too tough. So I'm like, fine. But then, of course, I kept on seeing this word, Clubhouse. Okay, whatever. So I said, let me just do some research on this thing. So they came out with an article in May 2020. I could be wrong, somewhere mid-year, and it was in an Oprah magazine. And I'm like, wow, they got an Oprah article. That's beautiful. That's what's up. So, of course, you get in the Oprah magazine. People are going to pay attention. People are intrigued, and they want to be a part of it. So, why do I have a problem with this? And I didn't want to say it, and the reason why I didn't want to say it, because I didn't want to be thought of as a hater. You're like, oh, Nova, you're a hater, blah, blah, blah. And come off bitter. And that's not what I'm trying to come off as. So I'm going to restart this timer here. 12 minutes, I swear, people, 12 minutes. I'm not going to go much longer. So, why do I have a problem with that? Because of the very reason, like doing data, and I spoke about this a long time ago on the show, that when it comes to black founders, they're just treated differently in the VC world. And I came up with the data, and I searched for the data, and even in the midst, and it was a blog at the time I was writing. I wasn't even doing my show at the time. I was blogging, writing articles, right? They were saying, and I was comparing to, and it's funny that I was looking at VC money, but at the same time, I was looking at black founders, and there are two different realities that are happening. Two different realities. At the time, they say, and that VC money doubled in 2019. In 2018, it was $2 billion, and it doubled into 2019 to $4.67 billion. It would say, oh my God, all this money is in the VC world. Business is again funded, and all this thing is doing very well as far as venture capitalists and investors for these new startup companies, everything like that. But the other reality that I noticed was in this other article was that 1%, and a number of different investors, a number of different founders have also repeated this, that 1% of VC money goes to black founders. That means you're literally locked out. When you have $4.6 billion, the VC money has doubled in 2019, and then only 1% of that goes to black founders, that says, no, you're not getting it. You're not getting nothing. And if they decide to give you something, it's like one or two people in, I don't know, in a year or whatever, and here, take these peanuts. And go. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And it's funny, when it doesn't work, it's like, see, that's why we can't fund black founders, because no, bro, you ain't giving me enough. So Morgan's comments, and she was kind of concerned about it. I guess she didn't want to get the idea that she was uncovering some, I don't know why she felt that she wanted to erase a post. She didn't erase a post. I made my own comments on it. But when I was going back to it, man, her post it was inundated with black founders or different people talking about the double standard, the struggle, the need for black folks to be more weary on where we put our magic if we're not included. It was like close to 800 comments under that post. So there's an obvious problem going on in the investor circle in California that black founders are just not funded. 4.6 billion. Imagine if 25% or 20% went to black founders out of that 4.67 billion. Not asking for half, not asking for 70%. Nah, if 20%, it does not happen. That's partly why Lyfeblood was created, out of the many reasons at the time. Because if people that follow me, I started out in film and in like the media TV world. I had a TV show when I was younger, and then I got into film documentaries, and I was moving on, and I got frustrated at the time, and then I moved on to something. I kind of put the camera down. And when I came back and I got bit by the bug, I said, what am I going to do next? I want to do film, because I was going to get back into film. But then I was like, I don't want to struggle for money, man. I want to do something that's going to have the ability for people to have access, and whatever that they do, whether as me as a filmmaker or someone else doing whatever that they wanted, here's a platform where people could come to and talk about their passions and also get it funded as well. Because knowing the fact that even in the documentary film world, it's hard to get funding, right? It's hard to get funding. You can, outside of the documentary film world, as a founder, hard to get money, as I stated earlier. So how can we create a platform where we can build on our passion, work on the future business that we want for ourselves, that we would like to present ourselves to the world, and then along the way we can start to develop a network where we can be funded by people in our peer group or in the community, city, state, nation. That's what Lyfeblood, amongst other stuff that we want to work on. But that was one of the main things why I created Lyfeblood. And my thing is, we have to seek alternative means, because we can't keep on knocking on the same door over and over and over again and talk about those issues, and then we keep on knocking on the same door. And then I eventually found out that it was just not about black founders, but just with entrepreneurs in general. And one key thing was how these entrepreneurs have these great businesses, and they're going to these larger entities, mega corporations, and they think they're going to sit down across the table for them, and they're going to be funded fairly, and then they're going to be welcomed into the fold of this new business. And then all of a sudden this mega corporation takes the freaking idea, and then they're shut out. That's not right. Can you say that's business? It is what it is. Yeah, you can say that, but is it right? How can you expect any new businesses to come into play and be a part of the market if the larger company keeps gobbling them up? Imagine that if that was happening 25 years ago. There's no competition. There's no ability for other people to have an opportunity where they have a great idea and they want to present it to the world and be successful off of it. So from individual to entrepreneur to nonprofit representative or agent, or whatever the case may be, Lyfeblood can be used in so many different applications. And so then you have a Clubhouse come along. And reason why Clubhouse was skyrocketing through the roof in the market, it was because black folk was using it and talking about it and pretty much putting their magic into Clubhouse. Black folk got that energy, man. We have that magic where we can put our spirit into something and make it hot. But then when it comes to Clubhouse, by making it hot, where it's now they're being valuated at $1 billion, what happens? Black folks are left out of it. We got to be more discerning on how we position ourselves in this business world, man. Because we could go ahead and we could say, hey, man, let's jump on this next thing. And we don't even think about it because it's just the next hot thing and we're catching a wave. All of a sudden, this thing becomes the next hot thing. And then because it's in the circle that it's in the investor world in California, all of a sudden it's making $1 billion. And what happens? The same issue that black folk and black founders are dealing with, being locked out of the venture capitalist world. Being locked out on how to make money. Even as an investor, it's extremely frustrating to go hard in the paint when you develop a business in the tech sector and other ventures. And you're literally dealing with a wall that is as thick as a bank vault that blocks your ability to start, to grow, or to have some sort of progress. Man, black founders, VCs, entrepreneurs, culture movers, cool folk, tech folks, in every facet of business, we have to start making a statement, man. We got to be more strategic on where we're putting our energy and our magic. We got to circle the wagons on where we need to go. Because I'm just tired of seeing it over and over again. Moving hard in the business only to be blocked, to be pushed off, to be ignored, or told, well, you need to share additional revenue stream, whatever, so we can see it, and you get pushed off. I was pushed off in my last conference. I had a guy that was an investor. Guy's a millionaire. He was doing this thing, right? So he was a speaker in this one conference, and he literally said what I was doing. He said, there's no money in that. Don't worry about that. I'm like, what are you talking about? Because there are whole industries that are or businesses that are exploding, popping like a kernel in that very industry in fintech. And you're going to tell me that there's no money in that? Don't worry about that. That's not going to happen. Bitcoin's not going to blow up. And then all of a sudden we have financial institutions that are now coming forward and saying, hey, Bitcoin is the next thing. It's the next big thing. We're going to invest in it. This is what we're going to do. We're going to build the infrastructure. They're talking about all that, but then I'm told, oh, there's no money in that. No, I'm not going for that. For whatever reason. I'm not saying the dude is racist. I'm not saying the dude is bigoted. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying, I'm getting the responses that it's not, that's not it. And then all around me, shit is popping. Think of it as like a pro bicycle, right? Think of it as bicycles. There are many different bicycles out there. Close your eyes and pick. Point your finger and pick. Right? You got Schwinn, you got Savadek, you got Eurobike, you got the Kent, you got the Fuji bikes, you got the Diamondback bikes, all these bikes all around, right? In one way or another, that you, of course, you have the top selling bike and everything else down below, right? And then all of a sudden you come around as a black founder and you make a bike. You make a bicycle. And they say, hey, man, I got this new thing that I want to share. Boom, 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 boom. And then they're telling you, there's no money in that. What are you telling me, yo? You got this guy selling a bike over here. This guy that just got propped up and got his startup going. You got the old brand bike says making record numbers here. But you're telling me I'm coming to you with a bicycle, a 10-speed, that with a little extra bells and whistles. You're telling me there's no money in it? Disrespectful. That's where it's at. Because that's the reality of what I have to deal with as a black founder. The 1%. but that doesn't stop me. I push on. But a lot of it is because we are to blame too. We as a people, we are to blame too. Because we know what's happening and we just sit in the same places and we keep complaining. And I say in the age of the internet, there are no excuses. You could literally create your own world, create it, your business, and then let the people make the decision. But then the fact is we're always waiting on something. We're always waiting for somebody else to do it and say, okay, what's going on over there? Okay, people, no, just do it. Just join it, buy it, be next to it, talk about it. If we're the culture movers and the frontiers people of the culture, of the music, everything like that, why are we not making decisions where we can help support other businesses and ventures and somehow tie it into all together? We are to blame, man. I see people complaining about Facebook and IG. I'm like, all right, well, here are some other alternatives. But nobody says, I have not seen one single black person tell me, oh, go over there because Facebook is funny. Try that over there. And it's black owned. I don't see where the disconnect is, man. I really don't see it. The last black owned social media site was a dating site called blackplanet.com. It was kind of black owned. I thought at the time when Black Planet came out, I thought it was black owned. But no, after you do digging, I'm like, oh, Sam, it was kind of. So it was an Asian guy that owned it, and it was a guy that was, I don't know, half black or I don't know. It was the classic, the brown paper bag test where he was passing. You know what I mean? He looked like the guy from what's that Dynamite? What's that TV show? That movie on Dynamite. It was Napoleon Dynamite. This dude looked like a slight tan version of the dude in Napoleon Dynamite. I'm like, no wonder he got it. I was like, they was like, you know what? All right. Oh, you're a black guy? All right, you're passing. Let's go in. Let's come in. I'm like, what? So I saw it because I'm doing the research and background with Black Planet. I'm like, word. Okay, cool. And the Asian dude was the Asian dude that owned Black Planet. And am I tripping that other people that are non-black own something that's like, nah, I'm not tripping off of that. It's not so much of that. But what I'm saying is where there are spaces and circles where black people are not let into, whether as a founder or someone that's forward thinking in the tech world and wants to introduce it to the world, they're locked out, but then other people come in and do the exact same thing, and all of a sudden they get in, all of a sudden they get the money and bop, bop, bop. And since Black Planet, nothing else just came out. Nothing else. All I remember is Black Planet got sold off to an Asian company. Business move. It is what it is, right? 8 years after its launch. It was the big thing. And then all of a sudden, that's what it was. Nothing else came out. It's like almost like Arsenio Hall in the late night talk show business. After Arsenio Hall left, no other black late night talk show hosts came back on. Nothing. And you know it because he had Farrakhan on there, and then at the time the executives was like, no, you can't have Farrakhan. And Arsenio Hall was like, nah, I can have anyone on my show. And then he got canceled. Yeah, it is what it is. But nothing came after that on a late night tip. And it did. If I forget something, it was like much later. You know, it's not like they say next year we got something else. It was like 10 years later. I'm like, God damn. You know what I mean? It's funny. So it's like we got to be able to, as a people, as black folk, to really stop putting our energies into places where we're just being used to develop the buzz, the bubble, because of who we are. And then all of a sudden, these companies start getting valuated at $1 billion, and yet we can't have a steady stream of black founders being invested in or making companies. I even asked my wife. I was like, tell me, eliminate music, eliminate in the movie business. Tell me one single black founder that is a household name off of that tech business. I'll wait. Nothing. And then she threw out Jay-Z with Tidal. I'm like, nah, again, no music. And the only reason why Jay is in that circle because he's Jay. It's obvious why. I'm talking about somebody from the ground up. From the ground up, create something, and now they're in the magazines being the next, I don't know, Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk or you know, what's that dude that name? Jeff Bezos. And even if it's not like a billion, like as rich as Jeff Bezos, if the dude has something that was worth a couple billion, as far as the valuation of the company, market capitalization of the company, that is a household name. I can't think of one. I can't think of nothing. So based on that fact, thank you, Morgan, for sharing that. Thank you for being brave enough to share that on your IG page. Now it's time, because I'm at a point where it's like, it's ridiculous. And I can't even hate on that sector in Hollywood and Palo Alto. I can't even hate on it because they're going to do what they do. What has to be concentrated on is how do you create alternative means of funding for black founders, black entrepreneurs, so they can get on the ground running and develop something within the market so they can get where they need to be. That's all I got to say. It's your choice. It's your choice. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you for listening to what I got to say. Man, I don't know. I think in the first one it was hard to find my words to in the first segment. I don't know. I was just tripping. I just couldn't get it together. But it is what it is. I'll just leave it as such. On that note, go to Lyfeblood.com, sign up, be a lifer, build your network, get it together, share dollar with each other, dollar power. It's your choice. In the age of the internet, you know what I said. It's just a matter of choice. Simple as a choice. Reach out to me, guys. You can hit me up on email. You can hit me up on any other social media platform where I'm still there. There will come a time where I will totally detach myself from it. But you know, the stream of people is on these platforms, so you gotta go where the crowd is at. But if I gotta be in that crowd, in that circle, and I gotta say, let's go over here, that's what I'll do. I'll keep on doing it. I'm not stopping. So be a part of it. Be a part of this community on a global scale. Let's make a change where we should, right? Where we should be making the change. And there's no time but the now. All right, guys, I'm getting out of here. Appreciate it. I'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Check it.
You just listened to GCOM Radio, powered by Lyfeblood.com for the global community.
We worldwide, baby.
See you in the next go round. From right here to your town, we out.